After 2 years of waiting, our search is at an end. We've tracked the Bullfrog team to their country lair. Now's the time to unlock the dark secrets behind the eagerly awaited new game, Dungeon Keeper.
Welcome to the team that created Dungeon Keeper. We've collected here to tell you a little bit about how we designed the game, and what better way of doing it than over a nice bloody joint.
Peter Molyneux, head of Bullfrog.
I was watching a lot of movies and playing a lot of games, and I just got sick of playing the good guy all the time. I wanted to play the bad guy, so I thought of Dungeon Keeper. And in Dungeon Keeper, what you do is you grow and build your own dungeon up. Gradually this dungeon gets stronger and stronger, but instead of being populated by really cute good creatures, it's populated by the most evil creatures you can possibly imagine. And then, really working with the idea, we thought of a way of playing the game in two different perspectives. Either playing it top-down, where you act as a manager of this dungeon, directing the creatures in to do all different tasks, or to actually get inside the head of one of the creatures. And that's the essence of what I wanted within Dungeon Keeper. The ability to play an action game on one side and a strategy game on another.
Meet the Carter brothers. Simon Carter, lead programmer. Dean Carter, support programmer.
Originally in Dungeon Keeper, we tried a sort of a 45-degree forced perspective viewpoint, which sort of zoomed out like that. And it was very, very atmospheric because it was almost like you were sat on the shoulder of some malevolent spirit wandering around the dungeon.
Which looked very nice, but it was a bit of a bugger to play the game with, really. You couldn't actually see what was going on. Sometimes things got behind walls, and you just couldn't sort of interact as well as you might want to.
So we went to a rather more, how can I put it, isometric perspective. Still looks absolutely lovely, but that's one of the tragedies of writing video games. You tend to have to remove the most beautiful things in order to make them more playable.
Meet John T. Barnes, AI developer. Barry Parker, level designer.
When you look at what the levels have developed into now, the amount of complication and variation we've got into them, it's amazing to think they started from such humble beginnings.
Originally, the level designing tool was very much just an art package of drawing the level of how it would look.
We just kept adding things in. We'd sort of play through and design levels, and then we'd come back and say, wouldn't it be good if we could sort of move something in a certain direction, and then John T would put it in, that would come back, and we'd feed on from there. It was an ever-rolling process.
The way in which Dungeon Keeper has fallen out, it has been playing around with different ideas and fiddling around with different things, seeing what other people think, taking on board what they believe in. It develops in that way. It's very organic like that.
And the first game that Bullfrog did was called Populous. And Populous had these little characters moving around a landscape, had hardly any intelligence. Dungeon Keeper, however, has got a huge amount of intelligence in its characters.
Each creature has nearing 100 variables of what can influence the way they react within their environment. Every creature can navigate the whole dungeon without any problems. They have fear, they have sight, they have smell, they even have luck. And it actually gets to the stage where you get really involved with a certain creature and relate to it a little, and it becomes your favourite within the dungeon and your power, your weapon.
Mark Healy, lead artist.
My input has been helping to realise what this world is actually like, to visualise it for people and to create an atmosphere. It started with horny. I was seduced with a smile. One night I just drew some teeth, then a head, then a neck, a body. It just seemed to draw itself. Then I had to make it real. Bone by bone, muscle by muscle, limb by limb, until it finally breathed.
Everything that we could think of, that we would imagine that would be in the most fantastic dungeon we put in.
The major contribution of mine to Dungeon Keeper must be the lighting, I suppose. Just about everything in the game casts shadows. Basically, you get one light source, you get one shadow for a creature. Two light sources either side. The shadows pan around past the creatures. Fireballs have lights. Dungeon hearts have lights. Creatures have lights. Lightning has lights, which is not surprising exactly. I don't think any other game on the planet's got anywhere near as much lighting detail as Dungeon Keeper's got.
The dungeon actually runs even while you're in control of a single creature, because the computer takes over the way that you're controlling the dungeon. So while you're scuttling around the dungeon in a cockroach, so the computer is looking after the rest of your dungeon. And if necessary, you can jump out of that creature, check on how the computer play is doing, and then jump back in again.
Once you've built and populated your dungeon to a certain degree, you'll tend to find you've also gained the interest of the adventurers. They're the squeaky clean, disgusting little individuals who tend to attack your place, steal your money, kill off your creatures, all those sorts of unpleasant things.
And you use your creatures to defend your dungeon against these robbers.
There's the trolls, which are like beer-drinking shag monsters, down the pub, kebab afterwards, that kind of thing. Generally good for just like a bit of a ruckus.
You rarely actually have full control over your creatures, though. I mean, they're basically evil little entities which all have their own lives.
The fact that you can be a fly around and be sick on people, I mean, that nobody can knock that, can they?
I think you do want complete control. You have to actually slip inside the creature's head and look out through his eyes.
Once you've done this, you take on all the creature's abilities and you actually become that creature.
Oddly enough, it's great fun being a vampire.
Yes, it is.
Alex Peters, support programmer.
My involvement in Keeper has included the front end and the scripting language. The other thing I've been doing is the network game, which is obviously very important.
Yeah, multiplayer games these days are becoming increasingly important. They do extend the life of single-player games a great deal. We've got the deathmatch game, which is like a Doom-style game where you take control of different creatures and attack each other in first person. There's the Keeper versus Keeper game where you play against enemy dungeon keepers, and there's the Hero versus Keeper game as well, where you play the part of a hero attacking another person's dungeon.
And also, after Keeper finishes, we'll be doing Internet Keeper, which will allow hundreds of players to play across the world.
Which is nice.
It's not like most other games. Most other games seem to concentrate on the light side of things. There are a few notable exceptions, but even though they don't seem to really appreciate the true darkness. Dungeon Keeper is truly a dark game.
It's the most challenging game that I've ever worked on, and I think the best game.
To Dungeon Keeper.
Dungeon Keeper.